And we're back. What's up, everybody? Benja Welldone coming at you live on this beautiful corona-free day. Today is Saturday, May the 1st at 9:01 in the morning. How are you doing? So, torturing builds character. What the heck do I mean by that? Here's the thing, all right? What I really mean is suffering builds character, you know? But it's just something about torturing builds character where I feel like it just sort of catches your attention more. You know what I mean? But anyway, so here's the thing. You know, there's a lot of different aspects of this, but I'll try to hit it the best way that I can, okay? First off, you know, diamonds are the strongest and arguably one of the most beautiful things in the entire world, universe, etc., right? But it actually is made through thousands and thousands of years of pressure and more pressure. And something beautiful comes out of it, okay? Now, I don't mean to be too philosophical when I'm saying this, but it's the truth. Because if you look at the most A-list athlete, Michael Jordan, LeBron, whatever, whether shooting at the free throw line or something like that, they build their skills based off of that pressure, okay? And they rise to the occasion based off of that pressure. Bullies, here's another avenue of it. Bullies, I think we need them, okay? I don't appreciate what they do, but it's not necessarily that I think that people should be bullying people. I think people should actually more than less start to learn more about how to deal with bullies, either through having like a thicker skin, being able to absorb the impact, so to speak, of what somebody says to them without having them have some sort of a long-term impact, you know, or even physically learning how to defend themselves. Could you imagine a guy living his whole life and all of a sudden, the guy's graduating college, he's about to get married, he goes to a gas pump, okay, and then out of nowhere, some guy calls him like an asshole, a piece of shit. Pardon my French, just giving examples, right? But yeah, imagine that. Now, what is that going to happen to that guy that has never been insulted, hasn't ever been had any sort of an insult like that to him ever before? What would that mean? Would that mean that he would essentially crumble and have a full breakdown that moment at the gas pump? Who knows? The reality of a situation is that most people get made fun of, and honestly, it's a great thing. Okay, those people that get made fun of. Okay, look at the Steve Jobs, the what's his name? The Bill Gates. Look at these guys. These are nerds. These are people that have constantly been pushed, made fun of. They are not lookers. Okay, they're not good-looking guys. They're not athletic. And you know what? However many years ago, you would have called them nerds. And now it's a cool thing to be a nerd, not just so far. But you'll even see guys that are jacked up athletic dudes bragging about how fast or how smart or how great their laptop is. Now, I told you I'm not trying to be too philosophical. But the thing is this. Suffering builds character. That immense pressure that people are put through, whether it is the military, for example. Okay? I remember doing training where we're shooting a certain weapon and they're purposely talking mad shit behind you while you're shooting. And they're also taking little rocks and they're throwing it and hitting your back. And the whole purpose is so that you can actually pass through all the distractions, focus on your target, and execute. That's exactly what they do in basketball. Those A-list, high-level, next level athletes, that's what they do. And they're not, those drill sergeants, for example, in the military and the army, they're not doing that to mess you up. They're doing that actually to harness your focus, to make you a better fighter, soldier, etc. Okay? Now, if you don't do something that has a problem solving in it, do something. Find something that has problem solving in it. I guarantee you, it will only make you better in everything that you're trying. Listen, I mean it. Everything that you're trying, you'll be better at if you do that one thing. For example, chess. Try chess. Do it at night. Get an app on your phone. Okay? Figure out how to do it. learn how to do it, and then start doing it. Whenever you implement some sort of a skill set or just anything that has to do with you getting better, and it's something that poses a challenge of some type, some sort of a challenge, okay? You work like different muscles in your thoughts. You know, you are problem solving. It is so important to do something like this. There isn't any other way of saying it or getting around it. Now, taking it one more separate direction, but still keeping the theme alive. Suffering builds character. You know, it even talks about that in the Bible, because truthfully, in my opinion, the more shit that you have been through, the more likely you are, this looks like a shady road, but I'm going to take it anyway. The more likely you are to not just develop as a person, but to find your way through adversity. Okay? It resonates. It's true 100%. Okay? Not taking the easy road, driving forward with a mission, always moving forward. I always talk about these things. Okay? Now, let me get through this hump. All right, cool. It's an unfinished road, but anyway. All that mud getting flung back in my car. All right, back to what I was saying. Now, if I take it even just one more direction, okay, as far as my comedy or comedy in general goes, this is how strange comedy is in general. Just to give you a small idea about it, I worked on a set having to, which was just one line, one sentence, okay, having to do with me living in Russia. I developed that into 10 minutes. Okay, very possible. All right, but the point is this. Comedy is so weird because the second that you get something right, okay, and me, I essentially, and I can only indirectly speak for everyone else when I'm saying this, I torture myself, not on purpose, but I feel like I'm tortured when I'm just going through and trying to figure out the correct word order, sentence structure, the timing, the placement of my pauses to trigger a specific emotional reaction, and then when to speak directly after that and build off of it. And once I get everything correct, I start the process all over again with something completely new and different. It's not exactly like a baseball swing, which you can duplicate to a degree, okay? Every single swing, different pitches, different angles, I get that, okay? But the fundamentals are very true. Whereas for me, in this craft, in this art of comedy, it is always evolving. The things that I talk about, they can be outdated. The references, old stuff that worked might not work now, okay? So it's just such an interesting thing, and I was thinking to myself that the other day when I just got finished, and I think about these things to try to get my craft, my art of comedy and whatnot so perfect. I stay up at night. I have my alarm set in the morning so I can work on comedy before I start doing my day job and working and everything. And then there's this feeling that I get of just complete, like I can just relax the second that I get one sentence done. But even a bigger sense of relaxation after I got a certain block of information, a large block, like a 5 or 10 minute bit. It's like, I got it, finally. And then starts the dripping. It's like a piece of rain just sort of like touching me on my shoulder, saying, hey, guess what? Now you got to pick up that ball and you got to keep moving forward with it. And I got to keep moving. You got to keep always moving forward, like I always say. And then the torture starts all over again. It's like as I'm enjoying that, not really enjoying, but as I'm realizing and observing that moment of completion, I actually have something that's not complete in that feeling, because I know for a fact that I'm already in the process, or I already opened the door for the last thing that I said to start my whole new thing. So it's kind of like if you were to close the door behind you and you think you're in a room by yourself, and when you look around you see that there's another door that's cracked open. And when you go through that door, you close that door behind you, you think, okay, all doors are closed and the next door is open. Because whenever I'm finishing something, I always say it in a way to where there's one key fact or one string, kind of sort of, this isn't like exact, but for the most part, something is open. And once all those other stuff are closed, and even if I change topic in comedy and I talk about something completely different, I'm still starting everything all over again. Over and over again. And you might just be breaking that down to you. You might tell yourself, oh, it sounds awful. It sounds horrible. But that's just who I am. I live with it. I love it. And it's just who I am. I'm a comedian. I'm a warrior. I'm a soldier, jiu-jitsu practitioner. I'm a lot of things. And I think it's a very strange thing nowadays when people, two things. Number one, act like you can only be one thing. What does that mean? That's ridiculous. All right. Perfect example. Leonardo da Vinci was one of the greatest, most accomplished individuals ever in a lot of different aspects. He was like an engineer. He was an artist, a sculptor, painter, you name it. He was just phenomenal in a lot of different things. Innovative, right? Way smart beyond what he had the supplies of doing. So, you know, I'm not comparing myself to Da Vinci, but I mean, if you want to, I'm just fucking with you, messing with you, excuse me. But anyway, yeah, so that's all I got. I know I hit a lot of different things, but I just wanted to get it off my chest because, man, I'm telling you, between somebody being bullied and the greatness that can come from that person that learns how to not deal, but just like deflect negative shit that other people say, that's an important life skill. Okay? So the problem and the answer isn't necessarily getting rid of bullies. The problem is the bully. The answer isn't getting rid of the bully. The answer is actually teaching people how to have self-confidence. Teaching people, okay, not just the self-preservation, the defense, but also the offense of physical tactics. And I'm not saying be violent, but if someone's going to be violent with you, you got to meet violence with violence. Be the greater aggressor. Again, be the greater aggressor. I know I said it a little bit fast. But it's important. These are all things that are important to you. You need to learn how to mentally and emotionally defend yourself. You can do it with silence. You can do it with a smile. You can do it with all sorts of things. But physically also is very important. Diamonds build pressure. Pressure is suffering. Suffering builds character. It makes sense. So again, I'll leave you on this. If you're not doing something that is challenging. Oh, and you know what? Just one more side note. Even exercising. The opposing force in exercising is the weight. That's another great thing about exercising. It is an actual mental discipline that you are overcoming something. And then you do. And your reward, your benefit is getting stronger, or maybe losing weight, getting healthier, better cardio, all sorts of stuff. But the opposing, just another example, amplified after amplified. An opposing force makes something better. Okay? It's that pressure of holding the weight, of pushing your feet along and pushing out and away from the ground as you run. That is a mental exercise. So if you exercise and you do it, then it's not just healthy for you physically, but it's healthy for you mentally and emotionally. You know, maybe you could use that exercise to just take away that shit that stupid guy at the gas pump said, or whatever the case is. But again, over and over again, suffering builds character. All right, and that character of that pressure builds greatness, just like a diamond. So be a diamond, you know. That actually ended kind of on a more poetic note, but just being serious. So if you're not doing anything challenging, find something challenging. I guarantee you. Try something as little as chess. Just try it out. Okay? Get an app on your phone. Okay? Learn how to, you know, get down with some chess and try it out on the lowest beginner level. Okay? It's a lot of fun, or exercising, or all sorts of stuff. But you need to do something creative. You need to do something challenging. And if you can be creative to overcome those challenges, that's even better. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff out there. Just find one. It'll help you. It'll build you in all sorts of ways, you know? So with that, hope I left you with some good information, understanding me a little bit more as a comic. I know I hit this on a lot of different avenues, but I actually did this video before and I was like, you know what? I didn't mention comedy. I didn't mention this. So this is actually like a very authentic, very truthful, but first, second edition. Only one being released, but the second one that I did of this exact topic, because I was just thinking to myself when I had just got finished a big block of comedy and I just felt so relieved. And as I was like taking that, not really relieved, but anyway, as I was just like observing that I just finished a big block of something, I knew that the ball, before it even stopped rolling, was going to stay in motion, because that's just who I am. It was just kept tapping my shoulder like a piece of rain dropping on me, you know? And I continued from finishing that, and I started opening up and developing my my new stuff, talking about North Dakota, which is really random for you to hear, not really knowing what happened before it, but it'll come out eventually. It's a continuation of something that I said. So anyway, with that being mentioned, I love you all. Thank you for the support. All listeners on audio, which are so much more than the subscribers and whatnot that I have on YouTube. But yeah, with that being mentioned, maybe, just maybe, I said something that might help or benefit you. And if it does, that's great. But at the very least, you learn a little bit more about me, my thoughts, my ideas. And when you see me on stage, you'll be able to relate that much more with me, because it's like you're getting to know me. So with that being mentioned over and again, I'm Benja Welldone. Have a beautiful day. Check me out. Peace.